much first things first, that what you're about to hear is remarkably and notably different from everything else. As you might have already imagined. And second thing is that I also don't quite know how this is going to go, because a good 85 to 100% of it is going to be freestyled. But this is just one of the ways that I like to both be vulnerable but also like express worship. So here goes. Woo! Dear future self, hello. Maybe you forgot about me. I used to be you a couple years ago, but okay, you started doubting. Because maybe, just maybe, I'm the person you wanted to forget because you left me behind. Don't forget, because I used to be just like you, remember? Before everything happened and you could change. And before you could look back and say that maybe, just maybe, I didn't become strange and I didn't become deranged, because I was sitting here struggling. And that's just the kind of person that I was. Came in the pen, a first-generation college student, that's become. Because the system wasn't made for people who struggle and try to become something that's otherwise other than they're not. That last line didn't make much sense if you listen to it back, but it's okay, because that's okay. God makes it hot. Because honestly, if you look back, the bottom line is, I don't believe I'm going to be fine. And future self, if you exist, or you actually look back and say, one day, yeah, Matt, you're going to be fine. Because I don't believe it. Because what happens when you start struggling? What happens when you start to be? What happens in them days when you're on your floor, when you got 4 midterms going up and you say, I want to cease to be, or cease to be because I can see my grades going from C's to D's and B's to C's and D's to F's as I'm about to fail out of pen. That's okay. That's just me. And maybe if you understood that, you could look back and see it. Dear future self, if you're there, please believe it. And then you fast forward a couple months and you just stop and you talk and you stagger and you make sure that nobody actually sees that what you're doing is stalling. That's why I'm not stalling. Because eventually the response happens. Dear past, I know you're struggling. I know you've been through a lot. Believe me. Because I've been just where you've been in that same flow when you thought about ending it all. Believe me. And I know what it's like to see those grades fall down so fast that you feel like they couldn't get off the floor. Believe me. And I know what it's like to see when you're begging in church, saying, is there something more? Believe me, because I feel like if you actually understood what you were saying, you would look back and say, man, there's something to believe in. If you knew just how optimistic you could be after that dispositional statement you made, man, you would, believe me. Because honestly, all that stuff you're crying about doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And all that stuff you're crying about is just a symbolic interaction or response for you to say that you're climbing up to the top of a 2-foot ladder. Because functionally, it doesn't. It doesn't matter. Society is not built for something that can rebuild itself like without power. And if you really knew just how much Jesus loves you, you would realize that at the end of the day, it just doesn't matter. Because one day, God's going to build a citadel that everlasting shakes the planet. And one day, if you look back, he's going to say that, look, when looking back, man, I just couldn't plan it because this wasn't me. And this whole planet just knows it. So why don't you agree? Why don't you agree, dear past self? Why don't you agree, dear past self? Is it because the grades define you? No. Is it because you've actually got up here and tried to do something that was different? No. Is it because you rebuilt yourself every day? No. Is it because of everything that you believed about yourself? No. It's because inside you got a monster that's a Loch Ness, but honestly, if you would go forth and really rebuild with Jesus, you can learn to trust the process. That was for you. But okay, back in the day. If you notice, I'm dropping family group names. If you notice, I'm dropping family group games. And if you notice that, truthfully, Jesus doesn't come forth and give you anything less than a game. He gives you his full, just like he gave on that cross. So anything that you sit here and act like is a loss is never a loss. And if it's in gain, I'm in vain. I must be that same kid that was deranged. But dear past self, there's something to believe in. You haven't lost.